What's going on, everybody? KingofDragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified series. This is Scarlett. And so here we have Scarlett posed and out of the packaging. Before we take a look at the figure, let's actually run through her accessories really fast. Scarlett does come with her crossbow, which looks really nice. I do like the way it fits in her hand. She also does come with 3 different knives. We do get a combat knife, which looks really nice. No paint, as we've expected, and that does go on the front holster. And then she also does get 2 tactical knives, which look really nice. I do like the size of these, and these do store on her little backpack. Other than that, Scarlett doesn't come with any other accessories, which is a little bit unfortunate. I would have liked to see some firearms on her, or maybe a backpack, which she does have a backpack, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually take a closer look at Scarlett. So here we have a closer look at Scarlett, and I really do like this face sculpt that they went with on this particular figure. It looks really nice. Scarlett here looks very beautiful. Now, this is the Redeco, so if you have the original version, I think this one has a better paint job. There was nothing inherently wrong with the old one. I just feel like this one looks a little bit better. The old one was a little bit cartoony, and then she also looked really young, like barely pushing 16. This Scarlett looks like she's in her mid-20s. She looks like she's seen some combat, so I do like the paint on this one a little bit more. You can see that they still have some detailing on her ears right there where she has her earrings, which look really nice. I do like the little highlights in her hair, although I kind of wish that there was some more rhyme and reason behind the highlights, because she just has it right there on the tip and then on the back somewhere in the middle of her hair. I don't know anybody who would style their hair that way, so that is a little bit strange to me, to be quite honest. I would like to see some actual highlights in her hair, not just airbrushed in 2 spots. But I really like the shade of red that they went with for her hair. I know a lot of people, when they think Scarlett, she has the long flowing red hair. This orange does do a really good job of that, and I do like the fact that they painted her hair tie. Now, one problem I do have is that the hair is not movable. It is actually affixed here via peg, and it's a really rubbery peg, so if you try turning it, you will end up snapping it. So do be aware of her hair. You don't want to end up snapping that accidentally. But yeah, really gorgeous face on Scarlett here. I like her blue eyes. They're just very beautiful and mesmerizing. So having a look at the rest of her costume, there really isn't too much here that screams classic Scarlett. Yeah, she has the yellow here, and that's about it. The yellow is probably the only callback to the original Scarlett figures. So if you're an old school G.I. Joe fan, this kind of will throw you off, because out of all the figures we've had a look at, Scarlett here so far is the most different from her classic look. Now, I am not a huge fan of the way they did her appliances right here, that being her bandolier and her belt. Now, my problem is that for all that they've done, we have a backpack here for Scarlett, but it's attached to the bandolier, and there's no peg. There's no peg for the backpack to just sit in there properly, so it's always going to be like a free-floating piece that moves around on you, and as you're trying to get it to pose, you might accidentally knock it off. And it gets really frustrating trying to pose it sometimes, because it doesn't really work with you 100% of the time. But that is unfortunately what we are given. I do like the fact that you can store her combat knife here and her hunting knives back here. We do have a bundle of arrows for her crossbow. Now, unfortunately, these aren't removable. These are part of the backpack, and they are a flexible plastic, so you don't have to worry about these breaking if they do drop. On her right shoulder, we do have her shoulder pad, which looks really nice. It's that really classic red with the white star that Scarlett is known for. Then we have a black undersuit with the yellow elbow pad, some throwing stars right there. We have her bracer there. But yeah, overall, really like this design. I know a lot of old school G.I. Joe purists aren't going to like the redesign, but for me, seeing as how I was just into the ninjas, having a completely redesigned team really doesn't bother me too much. I do like the fact that they did paint her gloves really nicely. You can see she has some armor plating there, as well as on her hands. And then we have a belt that is a floating piece, and just like with her bandolier, which you can see it moves around just for the slightest touch, this one is even worse because there's really not a spot that it can sit on comfortably, because the moment you move her leg, it's moving. There's no way to get around that. Yeah, you can try to set it down lower, but again, you move the leg, the belt moves again, so that belt does get in the way quite a bit, so I'm not a fan of that. Having a look at her pants, really do like the detailing they put on there. That's a really nice little pattern going on her pants, and they did add some red stripes right here just to break up that brown, and I think that's a really good job. And just like with all the other G.I. Joes, being a Redeco, this one has more subdued colors, where the other one had bright gold. This has yellow and brown, which I think looks a little bit better on the figure. You can see she does have some shin guards right here with the yellow and brown. And then we have these really interesting boots. They kind of look like they have vents back here, like they're jetpack boots, rocket boots. I don't know, she doesn't come with any thrusters, so I really don't understand the vents on the back of her legs right here unless something's coming out of them, and I don't know. But underneath that armor plating, we do have a look at her boots, which are probably long boots that go up to about right here. And then we have more armor plating right there on the edges of her boots. We have a guard right here on her heel and at the top of her foot. So overall, really do like this. I think the more subdued colors work better for Scarlett. I know that I'm expecting Hasbro to at least make a classic rendition of Scarlett where they reuse this body, except they have it mostly in yellow, and then they give us the blue undersuit. So that is something I'm fully expecting them to do, but this is a very nice upgrade that we've seen from all the G.I. Joe figures, and a really welcome look for the figure. And before I forget, she also does have this communicator that all the other Joes have, so I do like that consistency throughout the bunch. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get a pose and compare to other figures you may have in your collection. And so here we have the Classified Series Scarlett posed next to a Marvel Legends Cyclops and a DC Multiverse Superman. Here we have Scarlett posed next to a WWE Elite Scale figure and a Mezco 1/12 Collective Popeye the Sailor Man. Here we have Scarlett posed next to a Lightning Collection White Ranger and a Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. And for one final comparison, here we do have Scarlett posed next to the Classified Series Duke and Roadblock. So as you can see, Scarlett is the smallest member of the Joes that we've had a look at. So with all the comparisons out of the way, let's actually move on to her articulation. Now Scarlett here does suffer from Hasbro's articulation scheme when it comes to female figures. I really wish that Hasbro would update their female figures, because that's something Scarlett suffers from. She does have a ball hinge here at the neck, which does let her look up about that far. You will have to contest with the backpack here, so that hinge is mainly going to be used for downward movement, which is unfortunate, but she does have some nice head tilt, and of course it does rotate. We have a secondary ball joint down here at the base of the neck, which does help with some posing. It's not the best, but it does help. So with her shoulders, we do have a butterfly joint, but that butterfly joint is next to useless. That's as far back as it goes. That's as far forward as it goes. Once again, as far back, as far forward. So it might as well not even be there, to be quite honest. So as you would imagine, her pauldron does hinder movement. That's as far up as her arm's going to go. The other arm, not as restricted, but her arm does go all the way around. No bicep swivel, but we only get a single bend at the elbow, giving us less than 90 degrees. It's almost 90 degrees, but not quite. And then rotation. Now the one problem with her rotation is that it rotates at an angle, so it goes out more than it normally would. So yeah, that is a little bit unfortunate. For her wrist, we do have your standard hinge wrist. So this one does have an in and out hinge, where this one has an up and down hinge, so I do like that. And both of them do rotate. She does have a ball joint here in the torso, which does let her lean to the side, lean to the other side, lean back, forward, as well as rotate. Then we have another ball joint here at the lower abdomen, which does help with articulation. As you can see, she hula hoops really nicely. Drop down hinges for the hips, so they do go down and out to about right there. Not the best, we've seen better. Going forward, really nice. I do like that. Going back, doesn't go too far back because of her backside right there. We do have a thigh swivel up high in the hip. Then we do have double bend at the knee, going respectable. That's a really nice range. It would go further, but that vent on her boot seems to be limiting how far it can go, and I honestly don't know what that vent is supposed to be. We do have a swivel at the boot, a hinge in the ankle going back and forward, and then of course forward facing pin for rocker ankle. So overall, Scarlett here has some pretty okay articulation. I really would have loved to see some double jointed elbows on her. That would really help with posing. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get her posed for my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. And so here we have the G.I. Joe Classified Scarlett pose for my final thoughts, and overall I really do like the way this figure came out. I do feel she is a little bit light on accessories. I would like to see some more firearms. One thing that G.I. Joe figures were known for back in the day were having a lot of weapons, and even though Scarlett here does come with 3 different knives, I would like to see some more firearms on her, maybe another crossbow that doesn't have the bow drawn. It is a really nice little detail, but unfortunately it looks a little bit strange when you're taking pictures because the crossbow is always ready to fire, and that's just really poor firearm discipline. However, Scarlett here is just very nice. I do like the sculpt work that went into her. The colors look really good, and if you're a fan of classic G.I. Joe, you're probably gonna like this figure just because it overall looks really nice. I know there's going to be some people that don't like it because it's not the classic look, but it is a really nice updated look for the character. Now, Scarlett here does have some issues, and that is just Hasbro being Hasbro. I still don't understand why they weren't able to give Scarlett here double jointed elbows and a really functioning butterfly joint. That's one thing that annoys me. The single jointed elbows and the butterfly joints that are virtually useless. But other than that, the articulation on her works for what it is, and I really do think you're going to enjoy this figure if you're a fan of G.I. Joe. Now, if you are looking for the G.I. Joe Classified series, in my area, Lady J is probably the only one I've been able to find on the pegs. She's pretty much on Target shelves, and she's going to stay there till the end of eternity. But all the other figures, never seen one in stores, which is surprising to me because this is supposed to be a line that's readily available, and never seen a G.I. Joe figure on the shelf. So if you are looking for the G.I. Joe Classified line, more than likely you're going to have to pick them up from online retailers such as Walmart.com, Target.com, Amazon, Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth. Those are seeming to be the only places to find G.I. Joe figures right now. If you do want Scarlett, you can still pick her up on Big Bad Toy Store. Just be aware that this is a redeco of the original figure. There was nothing wrong with the original figure. I just feel like the colors are more subdued on these redecos, and they look much better than those classic figures. With that being said, guys, I'm KingofDragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Go ahead and check out all my other action figure reviews as well as all my other G.I. Joe figures. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you would like to see me review, let me know down in the comments, and if it fits in my collection, I'll gladly have a look at it. While you're at it, check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, and as always, ring that bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.